Hey, soul survivors, we're going to talk about what's going on in this world and why, when we want to seek revenge on our narcissist, why we got to be real cautious on that. I was scrolling through for some ideas. I came across there's a bomb threat at the local TV station, and it was posted an hour ago. They said 18 minutes till showtime, and I don't know if we're going live. So I also found out that somebody that I knew through work was murdered. I had a recently, and I'm still waiting to find out. It was a homicide, but they don't know the details. Also, a friend of mine was murdered by her husband 3, 4 weeks ago now. And, it's all around us. Also, I found out that one of my friend's daughter was at that school in Tennessee that recently got shot. And you hear all these things that are going on. So when you're thinking about revenge, we have to be careful on the abuse that we do. Now, when we're in the middle of an argument and we react, that's reactive abuse. But when we start seeking to hurt them back, that is abuse. Just like if you think about the criminal world where, you can protect yourself, you can self-defend, but once that person turns and walks away, you can no longer go after them and have that as a justifiable reason to attack them. So be careful. It will be seen as an attack. There are times that we can be abusive. And you can pull it out and say you're reacting to the argument or whatever happened, whatever went wrong. But if you were in a murder situation, the person has a gun at you and you turn away, you can't use that justification that you're reacting to this part because time went on. So just like with us, we're stuck in the past. And when things move on, that's what we have to deal with. We have to deal with what is going on. A lot of us get addicted to our past. We don't want to give up our story. We want to rewrite it. We want to make good on certain things or have that fantasy play out. But when we want revenge on other people, it will hurt them. It is an attack at that time. And also, they get hurt when we do our reactive abuse. And I'm not justifying their behavior at all, but there are consequences to every action, justified or not. There will be a reaction. So, with all the mental illness that is going on, even depression, anxiety, ADHD, just certain things that people need certain things certain ways. And when we're balanced, it all works. But when there's imbalance, that we overcompensate for it, and it still leaves it off balance. We're trying to find this perfect happy road, middle of the ground. Also, I've noticed a lot of people are so angry at their parents. No matter how hard you try, there's always going to be something that your parent did that probably affected you. Sometimes it can be the most kind-hearted thing, like I'm going to buy a beautiful house and have this fantastic school system, and then the kid hates you for it because you moved them. And even if it's a nicer house, or you try to think things through, or the child's not going to care, it's a better school system, but they want to be with their friends. And we can never always please each other, but people get hurt, and it affects the triggers that they have, how they move on with their life, how they interact with people. So when we cause another injury, we're not causing or allowing them to get better. We can hold our boundaries, and if they're going to interact with us, it kind of forces them into more of a good light, as long as you're like, you got to be polite to me, and so you're not allowing them to be in a lower level of whatever your beliefs are. But with um the the breakup or the toxic relationship, there are feelings that will fester. And we have to be clear and concise. If you've gone no contact, that you stick to it, and warn them at least one time. If it's a second time, just say, this is the last time I'm going to reach out to you or respond to you. I'm sorry you're hurting, but this has to end. And beyond that, we have to be cautious. Why do people why are all these shootings? Or I haven't heard yet if the bomb threat was an actual threat, but for some reason, maybe they wanted to be famous because it was a television station. That sometimes people go to extremes, either out of heartbreak or loneliness, sometimes just to be heard or seen, and feeling angry that they aren't. And I was really impressed with Cluster B Milkshake. She's self-aware and she is a YouTuber. She had mentioned, that she had like a narcissistic upbringing, and she's a narcissist. And she tried to overcompensate when she had her children. So she thought she was doing the right thing by doing the opposite of what she was raised with. She should have been doing the healthy thing. She did the exact opposite. So sometimes as time goes on, we get addicted to the highs and lows, or needing to save the relationship. And are we really looking at our unhealthy state, some things that we might need to change? It is a life's lesson, and it's a tough lesson, and it gets confusing because, there's two different types of narcissism, and all different levels on the spectrum and how people interpret things. We all have a certain definition of words. And, I could say this is beautiful, my background, and you can be like, yeah, it's okay. And other people's like, it's gorgeous. And it's just a different definition. My definition is going to be different than your definition. You might have gone on some exotic trips and this is just mediocre to you. Others of you, maybe you've grown up in the desert and you've never seen flowing water and beautiful trees. So everybody's perspective is different. So when we try to um, handle things the right way, sometimes we do that opposite stuff. And, sometimes it's eye for an eye, either way. That's down here. That's not the healthy medium. And that's just going to keep it here at the lower level. When we attack, they're going to attack back, and we're not raising the vibrations. Also, as far as raising vibrations, when we do that, people on higher level vibrations will gravitate towards us. And we also have to be careful when we're too high. It will sometimes repel people or cause them to be a little bit confused about it. Just like if, I was stopping over your house every day, like I made you a meal and I know we're just neighbors, but it's so good to see you and I'd love to talk to you. And I'm super attentive. And you're like, what is wrong with this lady? That maybe it's, me needing to comfort you, thinking you need attention when it's really me that needs the attention. And that's a form of projection too, in a sense. So as far as getting revenge, there will be a reaction. And a lot of times, especially with somebody who has built up anger or entitlement, that they will go to great extremes to maintain that power over you and to squash you down. They're not just going, oh, yeah, you hit me hard. Whether it's a metaphor or physical, that they're just going to, yeah, I should back down. A lot of times they want to attack back, and they can enlist those flying monkeys to help. They can sabotage quietly without you even knowing. Maybe you've moved on to a new relationship. They're going to try to destroy it from the back way. And they're really good at their manipulation tactics. And they'll go to great extremes to keep that power. So just be cautious on that. I see that we're overcompensating as far as generation to generation to generation, just like Cluster B said, that she fell into that trap and then she did the opposite. And she realizes, she kind of smothered her child. And there are so many different things that, there's a lot of good advice that's coming out. But I think from my perspective as a teacher and the things that I see is we are trying to do really good by our students, but we're overcompensating. We're doing what Cluster B did. And so this is going to form a different type of society that it's kind of scary. And, we've seen riots, and lack of trust, whether it's the police. I know there are issues that are going on there. But, some people want to get rid of the police, but they don't realize that we do need them. And society is changing as far as gender roles. And, we're kind of in a confused state trying to balance things out. And when you start having that anger built up, we need to address it, and we need to accept what happened to us. When we start accepting that it's time to let go, holding on to something that isn't is wasting your time. I saw a post where a Big Mac doesn't cost $3.18. It costs your health sometimes if you're eating the wrong things. And Netflix doesn't cost $14.98 or whatever they said a month. It costs you your time. You're sitting there watching and not living in the moment, going out and doing things. So each little thing, even though it seems like it only has a little cost, sometimes has a huge cost. So we have to realize what our time is worth. We have to realize that we need to live in the present, that our story is left unwritten when we stay stuck. And, we can either have a fiction or nonfiction story for our own lives that we can sit there and hope, or, if it's meant to be, it'll come back around. And this is a learning lesson that will give us that answer, but we have to continue with the lesson. We have to continue with the lesson. Not ruminating about the back first chapter or second chapter. We have to finish writing the story, which means moving forward. Maybe we got to change characters as far as who's in our story. Maybe we need, new friends or a new job if we have a toxic workplace. Our happiness has to come from within, because there's people who they want their dream to come true. They want $1 million home, but is the home going to bring them happiness, or is it just a larger space to feel empty inside? So when we address what we're missing, and I'll do a video after this about the way to change our brain chemicals to allow the neurotransmitters and the pathways of the communication between the neurons and neurotransmitters to allow us to feel at a comfortable level. And when we realize what's lacking, we realize what we are overcompensating with. And it's going to feel weird. Sometimes the healthy feels awkward. We turn away a lot of healthy people. It doesn't seem like a challenge. It's not as exciting. We're not saving anybody. All these different things that are missing. And we feel it's our life purpose, but it's showing us in a lot of psychology, if you think about it, is kind of like reverse thinking. The narcissist thinks in reverse, but to realize what we're missing, we have to realize what we're giving so much of. Because a lot of times we give hoping to get back. We're investing in somebody because we want them to invest back in us. That if I say hi to you, I'm hoping you'll say hi back to me. And they do have the value that of scarcity, which can get confusing, that we feel drawn to, let's say, the popular person. We're drawn to them because it seems that since society sees them in such a way that we should too, or there's something kind of wrong with us, or the the mindset that we have is formed from our childhood. And I'm here to help you along the way. I'll do that video now. That's kind of stuck in my head. That's why I'm kind of too many thoughts going on at once. I definitely want to get that, because rewiring our brain is going to lead to our happiness. So just protect yourself and keep yourself safe. So squash the fire instead of putting fuel to the fire. And that's when you're going to be safest. I think that's pretty pronounced. If you squash the fire, you put out the storm, as opposed to living in it and increasing it. That's where the safety lays. So thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video. One-on-ones are available. Have a good day.